Welcome back to the Maggot History Project. I'm Matt Brown. I'm joined today by Annie Goetten and former Barb Beck. I'm not sure what your name is now, but I'm sure you'll tell us. Welcome.
Thank
Oh
you.
yeah.
Hey, so the reason we're talking to you, obviously, is because you are some of the original Bettersiders. And if I have get my history right, the Bettersiders actually predate the Maggots. Is that true, Annie?
Yep.
Can you tell us
Not by a
when
lot,
that
but
happened?
by a little.
And can you tell me when that happened? When the Better Steiner began?
Well, officially in the spring of 1976, but the idea or the germ got started the fall before at the Jesters. They weren't called Jesters, the U of M team. The men were playing, and then there were a bunch of maybe 5 or 6 women that were hanging around and playing with the ball and looking interested. And I'd just come from the University of Illinois, where I had been a player. So we all started with my tiny iota bit of guidance. We started farting around, and then on Tuesdays, we'd actually have a practice because there was always beer left over from the weekend, and the railroad bar or whatever it was would let us come up there after practice. And John Malika was our coach for the fall of 75. We probably had, I don't know, maybe half a dozen practices. But then in the spring of 76 is when we actually got like a president and a actual coach. But I didn't know, was Ricky our coach then? Anyway, we got jerseys and got all organized. So that's kind of when we kicked off.
And I think you put posters up because I think I saw a poster. I didn't know what rugby even was. And I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. So
Oh, good.
you
I'm
probably
glad we
got
did that.
a flush of recruits there from that effort, I'm thinking.
Mm,
And do you
yeah.
remember who you played in your very first match? Who was the first opponent in
We went to
76?
Denver, didn't we?
Yes, we went to Denver. Do we count ourselves, playing ourselves and playing the men? The first time we played
No.
women, the first time we played women was when we went to Denver. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
And
that
who
was
did you
the
play there? It
closest.
was the, it was the which of the Denver clubs, or was there only one then?
It
Or
was a tournament, I think, wasn't it? We
It
we
was a
played out of
tournament. There
three.
was there was a there was a team that the Denver Blues,
Yeah.
and then there was a team from Fort Collins, and there was a team. How many? I don't even remember them all. But yeah, we got 3 or 4 games, I think, playing there.
It was tough after just having played each other, and we were pretty nice to each other. And I remember that was a pretty tough weekend. We got beat up pretty bad, and we lost very badly. But we were not
Yeah.
too dispirited. We were like, okay,
and how
go
did you
back and
get down
practice.
there?
Huh?
How did you get down there? How'd you get to Denver? Was it a road trip of everybody kind of went together, a bunch of cars, or you had a university? I know the Maggots at different times rented buses or did different things before they got their bus. How did you women travel?
Carpool.
Carpool.
Yeah, carpool.
Yeah. And after that, it was what was your first home match? Who did you first get to come to Missoula to play against? Do you remember?
Wow.
Probably Fest.
Yes.
Probably the guys helped us recruit another team. But
Okay.
the other early teams we played against were the Eugene Housewives and the Dusty Lentils in Moscow. Our second road trip might have been Moscow, Idaho, do you think, Anne?
We went there quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were the
But I
closest.
can't remember who, the Canadians didn't have any women's teams yet at that point that I recall.
Well, the Rockers were close. I think the
Oh,
Rockers might have
Edmonton.
formed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't see anything of them until Maggot Fest. Yeah, they came for Maggot Fest, and
Okay.
that was probably
Yeah.
the first time we played them.
Yeah.
And do you
But
remember
we
who
went to
some of the people were that were on your team? I know obviously the two of you, and but who else were the people that made up that first 15? Do you know?
Oh my goodness.
Barb Slot. Trish.
Yeah, and
Danny,
Patty.
Pat
Were the
Jacko.
Klaus sisters there yet?
No.
Not yet. Little Row, probably not. A little before her time.
I saw a
Hogan.
picture that
Hogan was
Jimmy
there, wasn't
had,
she?
but I don't know the date on that, where you guys, between several of us, we identified who all those people were. But I don't know if it was the first handful. I can't remember that.
And was your first set of jerseys, was it that same sort of purple color scheme, or did you have something different? Was it the university colors?
It was
No,
orange with black stripes on the arms.
yeah, it was this jersey that the Rugby imports had in stock and cheap, and that was happened to be the Princeton alum jersey, but that's why we got it, is because it was cheap and it was available, and that's
yeah.
them.
I recognize those because I played for Occidental, and at some point we had jerseys that looked just like that because we had the same as the Princeton colors.
They're
So,
pretty ugly.
oh,
Well, we
they're
liked them. We
Oh,
liked
they
them.
lasted forever
Yeah,
until someone stole them.
they were acrylic.
and
Remember?
very thick, right? Like very thick. They got wet and they weighed about 10 pounds each, I think.
Well, they were acrylic. The
They,
ones
Oh, they
we
were.
yeah,
had.
we didn't have those cotton
Oh, we
heavy
had the
ones. We
cotton
had
ones.
those.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
a little different.
No, just acrylic.
And then
Cheap.
when you started playing, was there a league eventually? If you played for a couple more years, did you kind of have a regular schedule, or was it always just trying to go to tournaments and fest and whoever you could play?
We didn't have a regular schedule that I recall.
No, there was a team in Helena one year, and then it wasn't there the next, and then there was the Reliables was the Moscow team, so we'd be back and forth with them. We went to a tournament in Spokane once and
Yeah.
discovered that there were teams in Seattle. So then we
Yep.
branched out a little further and went to Seattle a couple of times. I don't think there was a team in Ellensburg at that time. But there wasn't hardly any communication, because
Right.
we didn't know where these other teams were, and they didn't need to come to us. They didn't know we were even there. So it was kind of every time we'd travel somewhere and discover there were other women's teams, we got
Yeah.
excited.
I think that the only regular schedule we had was at Maggot Fest, when, the guys would help find women's teams and bring them along with their men's teams. And so we'd get a few games. But I think, so initially we weren't affiliated with the university or anyone. And we thought, well, maybe that would be a good idea if we could do that. The men were a club sport, not a team sport, and the difference there. But so we found the woman who was the professor, who was the head of women's studies. You needed to have a faculty sponsor in order to be a club sport, and so she she risked her name and reputation and said we could be a club sport under her. But she really didn't have any other involvement. But we were hoping that then maybe we could use university vans or get our jerseys paid for. But I don't recall that there was any benefit at all. Maybe there was a couple $100 for gas in our own cars. Do you remember, Anne?
I don't remember any support at all. But that's not to say there wasn't any. I just don't remember it.
So, but I think we were hopeful by doing that then we would learn about more teams affiliated with schools. So we thought it would help us. It really didn't do anything. But
did you do? You must have done some kind of fundraising, right? Obviously to pay for jerseys or things.
Did we?
Or everybody just kind of chipped in?
Buy your own.
Yeah, I don't remember fundraising.
So Annie, you said that you started by playing at the University of Illinois. Had you played a season or two, or what?
A half.
A
I played in the spring of '75, and then I'd left that school to go to a smaller school and ended up in Missoula.
So
So
you were
I
both
played there, and
students at
it
the
was a
time.
regular, with the Midwest, everything's so close. It was bop over to Iowa, up to Wisconsin, to St. Louis, Chicago. So it was probably, I don't know if I had half a dozen games under my belt when I came to Missoula, but there were other gals there willing to put it in the time and the effort. And I thought, boy, this is great. Because I really was fond of rugby
Yeah.
compared to other sports.
How long did you eventually end up playing? I forget who it was that told. I think it was Sherry that told me that you ended up playing in Seattle for a fair bit of time.
Yes, I did. I moved to Seattle after we discovered there were teams here. And I ended up playing for a team called the Seabirds that is no longer there. And then I played for a team called the Breakers, which is no longer there. And it wasn't my fault that they folded. I'm not the curse, but I played probably 15 or 16 years all
Okay.
totaled.
And Barb, how about you? I heard that I forget who it was that said that you were still playing when the people that we've interviewed previously, Shelley and Sherry, that you were still there playing for the better side, so maybe early '80s. Does that sound right?
Yes, probably because I stayed there for graduate school and my academic career was quite lengthy, although not rewarded with a doctorate or anything. But
That seemed like a
yeah.
common theme amongst the rugby players at
Oh,
the
yeah, 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 yeah. I did get a degree or two, but yeah, other people would have gotten more in the time I spent. But yeah, and then we had a 25-year reunion at Maggot Fest. And I don't know if that's on your radar, but we actually played 25 years after we had stopped playing. And we beat those young effers. Do you remember, Ann? Were you there for that?
I'm not sure if it was the 25th. I remember one where I actually played after I'd
Yeah.
been retired for
I,
3 years or 4 years. And
I,
I
I
said, well,
trained for a year because I was so terrified I'd get hurt. And we had a blast. And we still had Sue came back. Sue, Byron's ex-wife. I don't know her name now.
I'm not
Sue
sure what I
Hanneman.
just talked to her at Fest though. She was just
Hanneman.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, Sue
Yeah.
Hanneman.
Anyway, she had run track for the university and we recruited her for fullback. And so we just kept getting the ball to Sue and she ran down
Yeah.
there and scored. And the youngsters were like, what the hell is going on here? These women that are in their 40s, we're 18. We can't beat them. It was hysterical. So
So would that have
it
been
was
kind of somewhere in the early '90s or no,
well,
maybe
70.
early 2000s, maybe? If it
No,
was
it would have been in the 90s. It was
Yeah,
in,
96, wouldn't it have been?
yeah, that sounds about right.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 96, because 93, the math doesn't work. But yeah.
And do
But
you
we
have
did,
anything sort of planned for this upcoming 50th Fest? Is there anything kind of percolating that might see not necessarily playing, but just getting some of the better siders back together from different eras?
I think
no,
there's a whole bunch that are making noise like they're going to go. At least I've heard about three or
probably
four
Sherry
of them.
Becken would be the one. I mean, she's there still. There's a couple that are still in Missoula. Sherry, Shelley. I don't know who else is still there.
Those are the ones that I see fairly often
Yeah.
at rugby
Yeah.
events. I'm not sure. There might be Kat that was there, but she might have been a little bit later. She was,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
late '70s, early '80s. Not an original, but later on, she's
Yeah.
still around.
Corey and Skid.
Corey and Skid, right?
Yeah.
She's still there, but and I just haven't heard anything. I was just curious if you knew of any sort of plans for the 50th.
I don't think people are in touch with each other really too much.
Can you tell me just a little bit about some of the stories that you remember? Usually it tends to be tournaments or road trips, or you can change the names to protect the guilty. But anything that sticks in your mind about your favorite road trip or favorite time when you were playing for the better side?
Oh my. How do we narrow
Well,
it down?
I know one thing that wasn't really favorite, but the practices, we would show up. I mean, we were pretty good about going to practice, but we just couldn't tackle for shit. And so we we had to have tackling practice all the time. And we absolutely hated it because we were so bad at it. And coach after coach after coach would step in and try to get us to learn how to tackle. And we're like, hey, I tried and they just ran through me. And it's like, well, yeah, because you didn't really try and you didn't do it right. And so I remember that was kind of a theme. And I mean, the other thing was, we had plenty of guy coaches. And so every single rugby player guy that was looking for a woman wanted to be our coach. So that's how we
Well,
got
I don't think you
coached.
can count Rick McClanahan in there. I don't think he was looking for a
No,
squeeze.
well, there could be one or
He
two
just was
exceptions.
pitying us.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, even though some of them had like no qualifications or ability to coach us, they would show up. So we did have lots of coaching, and some of them, like Malika, stuck with us for a while. And then he refereed some of our early games, and he called himself a talking ref. Do you remember that, Anne?
I
Because we
remember
screwed
him
up so
talking
much.
because he was
We screwed up so
a
much we didn't
teaching.
know the rules, and so he'd blow the whistle, and then he'd say, "All right, come over here. It's going to be a scrum or this or that, and here's what happened. Here's what somebody this was a knock on or whatever." And so it was actually quite helpful. That I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, at
I
that
think it's
point,
fairly common with with newer
newer
players,
players, yeah,
with men and women. I don't think I think that's designed to kind of enhance the process of learning the
yeah,
laws.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
And
Stories,
was there
and I don't.
somebody who that was when was the first time that you had a female coach that was actually the head coach?
Never.
Not during your
Not in
time?
my tenure.
No,
Never
Oh,
no,
saw one.
okay. Because I know Sherry was the coach for many years,
Yes.
right? But that was after
that
your
was,
time.
yeah.
Hmm.
Did either of you ever do any coaching in other places or
Not me. I
and
don't have the patience.
what positions did you play? What Annie, what did you play?
Well, my favorite was fly half, and I did some fullback, and I did some scrum half. But if you went to a tournament or something to without the team to pick up a game, you ended up playing everywhere. So I've actually played second row in a tournament.
Oh God.
It was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
And Barb, how about you?
I
What was your
I played
preferred?
scrum half and I was the kicker. But I was only the kicker because nobody else would do it. And I wasn't very good, but I didn't care if I missed and people ridiculed me. So it was like we
oh, I
needed
don't think
someone to
anyone
try.
ridiculed you. You know what
Well,
irks me, Barb, is now they let them use a tee. How much
oh,
easier it is
yeah.
if you set the ball up on that tee and kick
Oh,
it.
yeah, right. Yeah.
When we played, you had that ball had to be in contact with the ground. You couldn't even rest it on somebody's toe
No, you could
and
drop
get
kick.
elevated.
You could drop kick
Well,
it,
you could drop kick it, but for
which was,
place
yeah.
kicking, I mean, my stars, they babied these players today. These kids just don't know how it's done.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So I guess I don't think, did any of our players wear scrum caps? I mean, what did we have for, all I remember having was a mouth guard for any kind of protective.
I don't think anybody had a scrum cap when I was there.
I mean, the guys were like, well, you have hair, so that's going to protect your ears, right? Yeah, so I don't
Oh,
know now. I mean, do they wear shin guards and stuff like that or?
Well, shin guards are still illegal. I imagine there's a
Okay.
few out there, but I would think you can't do that. But you do see a fair number of scrum caps and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like them. I'm with you. I'm of the old school, and mouthpiece and boots. That's the way to go.
Yeah. My
oh,
dad was
sometimes knee pads.
mm, my dad
Hey,
was not thrilled about my career choice there.
Where
You're
did you play
playing
your home
what?
matches?
Huh?
Where did you play your home matches? And where did you practice?
What was that name of that field off of South Avenue?
Playfair, by
Is that the
behind
name of it?
Sentinel High
By
School.
Sentinel, yep.
Yeah, where all the Maggot Fests were used to be held.
Yep.
I don't think we played anywhere else. When we first started, I think we played. There was a practice field between what was the clinic for the university and Jesse Hall. There was a little field there. I think they used it mostly for intramural football. I think that's the first place I went out to practice. I don't even know if that's still green space anymore. You know which one Jesse Hall is?
No.
I don't
Right
even,
off of
that's not
South
familiar with
Higgins.
me.
It's
Oh,
off of South Higgins.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, mostly
When
behind
you
Sentinel High School.
what was when you say your father was definitely not in favor of it? What was it about rugby for you, Barb, that when you started playing it, you thought, "Hey, this is something I like. I'm gonna keep doing this thing," because obviously that became something that you did for a number of years through your academic career. And what was it about the rugby and the camaraderie that kept you in it?
I think as far as the game itself, I love that it was a combination of physical ability and exertion plus strategy and thinking. Because, even though we would watch the guys and support them, we didn't want to play just like them. I didn't want to play just like them. I wanted to play smarter. I wanted to play more of a finesse game, more of a strategy game. So I liked that it was both the physical nature and then also the using your head. And yeah, I mean, teammates were great and we had a hell of a lot of fun. Oh, I remember a story now. We did a pub crawl, remember, to raise money? And
oh, I
we
don't remember
walked
that.
we walked
When was
between the
that?
bars and drank. Well, I was pretty well along and not too many bars into the thing, and we were walking and I was talking sideways and I walked into a signpost, a metal signpost, just about knocked myself out. It was pretty serious
Whoa.
injury. But we weren't very far into the pub crawl and I was like, I think, don't you get pledges or
That sounds
something?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, you get pledges for how many bars you make it to or whatever. And I wasn't going to quit because I'd only made it to like 3 or 4. And so we kept on going, but I'm sure I had a concussion. I'm sure
Oh,
I did.
geez.
And it wasn't even on the field. So anyway, yeah, even though it changed faces over the years somewhat, we had a great group of gals for sure. And they were from all over. And I liked
Mm-hmm.
rugby too because there's a place for every single body type and ability. There's a position that's made for each different person to contribute. But I think, when we first got started, some of the women had never really participated in any kind of sports before. We didn't have the chance. Title IX came
Yeah,
just
pre-Title
after
IX,
us.
right?
Yeah. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the fact of being on a team with other women teammates and having common goals and practicing together, and that was a huge deal compared to now where they have a lot more opportunity to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think now it's more likely that most women that come to rugby have already played an organized sport in high school,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yep.
from my understanding of a lot of women of your era, that wasn't a common thing. That
Mm-mm.
finding rugby later on became your first chance to do that.
Yeah.
Annie,
I
for
played,
you, I'm sorry, Barb. Go ahead, tell me.
I was going to say I played hockey in high school, but it wasn't a high school sport. It was like a park board sport, and it was just
Okay,
getting started. But yeah.
yeah. Annie, did you play? What made you go out when you were in Illinois? What drew you to rugby there first, and then kept your enthusiasm for it up when you ended up in Missoula and then
Well,
Seattle?
at the University of Illinois, at that time, there was a place called the Armory that had a swimming pool, and I was on the swim team. So
Oh,
you could only practice under a coach for so many months of the year. But for swimming, you sort of need to stay in shape. So for the other months, the swimming pool at the Armory was for water polo. So we'd go there for couple of nights a week or something. And some of the water polo girls talked a couple of the swimmers into coming to play rugby. If you went through the tunnel underneath the road, you could come up on the other side at the field where the rugby practice was. And so, of course, the dummies like me are like, okay, something new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walked over there and down, get up there. And of course, the first thing I do, coming from a family of 3 boys and me and my sis, is they've got this ball and it's almost like a football. Well, I played football with my brothers all the time. So they throw it to me and I kick it. And then the coach just goes wild because I could punt. So right away, we've got to have
You're
this
in.
girl. We've got to make sure she stays. And so, of course, everybody bends over backwards to keep you. And that, the thing about rugby, you don't want to lose anybody, at least in
Yeah.
those days.
Yep.
They want to keep you. If you show any interest at all, it's like, hi, come on. So I thought, well, this is pretty fun. It's everything I really loved about playing football. There's tackling, there's running, there's passing, kicking. Perfect sport. So that's how I got started.
And then what kept you at it for a long time? Because I would
People.
guess that, I would guess if you played that long in Seattle, that you had to be part of a community there, and really, if went from one club to another, that indicates to me that you really loved it.
Mm-hmm. That's right, and it's the people that are involved. They're just independent people that with great ideas or maybe not so great ideas, but they spit them out, and it's just fun people. They're just everyone's a unusual and has a real good outlook on life. It's just they want to have fun.
Yeah.
And they welcome everybody, and it's a great group of people. It's a great premise. So I thought, well, this is perfect.
And so when you think back on your time playing for the Betterside specifically, is there something that kind of changed how you view life or view people that you gained from that experience? I mean, I think it can be in any number of different ways. I've been doing this for a while now. People take different things out of this sport. Barb, did you have something that you think goes as thematic throughout your life, possibly, that deals with rugby
Sure.
in the early days?
Sure. I think it's a confidence builder. You try something new, you gain a little bit of mastery over it, you enjoy doing it, and it's like, okay, I learned to do that and I did okay and I liked it. And so, yeah.
Do you ever meet people in your professional life or your personal life, social life, and somehow the rugby thing comes up? Hey, I played rugby too. Does that ever happen?
Well, I haven't, but after I graduated, I went to work for the Forest Service, and there was a regional office in Missoula, and I ended up working in there in appeals and litigation, which was, you know, you had to be kind of professional to do that kind of stuff. And people would come up to me and say, "You look so familiar." And I just had this horror that my career would be ruined because somebody knew that I played rugby and they'd seen me passed out or pulling up my shirt or, something. And so I was really scared about that for a long time. Skip worked down there too, in that
Oh, okay.
building. But I don't think he had that same phobia I did. But after a while, I was like, well, I'd say, well, did I have my clothes on? And they were like, what? I said, well, I wanted to know if I looked familiar from rugby or not. And they're going, no. So it never did come back to bite me, but I was quite worried there for a while that my nascent career would be on the rails because of my rugby activity.
And Annie, how about you? What were some of the things that you took out of your rugby experience that influenced how you went about your daily life?
Well, let's see. I think it does build confidence. So you've got unusual. I was a blue collar girl, and I worked in a shipping company, driving a forklift, loading flats, and there weren't a lot of girls doing that. And these truckers would come in and be like, huh, what's this chick doing? And blah, blah, blah. Well, this chick knew how to handle herself. And
Right.
I think a lot of that was rugby. So, I
Yeah.
mean, you just have no, you have your bullshit filter is a way more developed, and you just, okay, folks, this is me and I don't apologize. So let's go, this is what I do. And hey, no problem.
Yeah.
So, yep, confidence.
And do you still have rugby friends from your time? I'm guessing that you're still in Seattle area, or do you still have rugby friends that are part of your social circle?
Well, I've moved away from the city.
Oh, okay.
I don't live near the city anymore, so it's hard to stay in touch. But
Right.
if you go to a Sea Wolves game or something, you'll see occasionally you'll see somebody, and of course there's also social media, and so but yeah, once you've got a rugby buddy, they're your buddy no matter where they are or how long it's been, and it's pretty amazing.
Do you know, have you seen, when's the last time you've seen a Betterside match? Probably at that fest in the late 90s, or?
Well, we had a 2016 reunion for the 40th,
Okay.
and that's the last time I saw him play, the
So
Betterside
fairly
play.
recently, 10 years ago kind of thing, not,
I
yeah.
I
Right.
came to the Maggots when Rex came back to town, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, a
I
couple
came
years ago.
I came over to the fest and I was like, I don't like their jerseys. And oh my God, they look so young. And look at their hair. And oh my God. I mean, it was like it felt so different. And not in a bad way, just it was like, oh my gosh, this is so different. And they had all their own, I don't know, chants and group hugs and all this kind of stuff that was just their own unique
Right.
thing. And actually, I think Sherry was coaching then, was coaching
She
them.
may have been. I think
Yeah.
that might have been right at the end of when she stopped coaching, or she may
Yeah.
have been just, kind of turning it over at that point.
Yeah.
Any
It's hard to
plans to
think
come to the
you were,
50th?
what's that?
Either of you have plans to come to the 50th?
When is that?
Next year. This was the 49th.
Maybe.
We just finished.
Yeah, I'm all in, I think. Coming back.
I don't know. We might need,
Hopefully.
if there's not a maggot ball, I don't think I want to come. Do you still do maggot balls?
There's a maggot formal.
Yeah.
And so
I
that's
went
usually
into
in
this.
February.
I went into the secondhand store to get my gown one time, I remember, and I found this one that had this giant chunk of rhinestones right here in between my boobs. And I mean, it was only like $6 and it was full length. And I thought, oh, man, I got to have that thing. And so
It's
I
perfect.
bought it. And on the way out, the clerk looked at me and I thought she was going to tear up. She said, "You're going to be so beautiful in that." I was like, yeah,
Did she know?
I will. I hope I don't throw up on my rhinestones, but yeah, those were pretty fun. Remember Colucci? So Linda Colucci never did play, and I think some of it was she never was healthy enough. Do you remember Colucci? Yeah,
Oh,
she
sure.
yeah. Well, so she was from Opportunity by Anaconda,
Okay.
and she grew up with her everything she put in her body was like super polluted. So she had all these health issues, but
I didn't know that.
I don't remember why, but they crowned her Miss Maggot. And
Because
I think
she was the bartender at the Turf.
oh yeah, right.
Remember?
Okay. Anyway, you would think by her reaction that she thought she just, I don't know, won the lottery or
Yeah.
it was like the most special thing that had ever happened in her whole entire life. And so I mean, she played it up to the max, and it was a cool thing. I mean, she felt very included, even though she wasn't playing, and um, So, I mean, I think, there was a very close relationship between the Maggots and the Betterside, and the Maggots really supported women's rugby. And, they coached us. They tried to get teams to the fest that we could play against, and they included us in everything. And yeah, and some of us took the bait and married them. And
And some of us didn't.
yeah, some of you didn't. And some of the marriages lasted and some of them didn't. And yeah, yeah. But I mean, I think they were.
That's always going to be the same, though. I think that's not unusual from the very beginning through to now. Maggots and Bettersiders sometimes end up together, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have the two teams supporting each other for whatever reason.
Yeah. So you've mentioned a couple of bars, a couple of places. What was a routine sort of week like for the Betterside? Would you go out after training? Would you go over on Friday night to your matches or Saturday morning? Give me a sense of a typical Betterside week that included training and a game, if you can remember.
Well, we trained on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
And it was some little park behind, wasn't it near Sweetie and Beck's house, Springy?
Yeah, behind
field,
Sentinel
that
High
little
School,
field back in
off
there.
of South Avenue.
Yeah, someplace. Anyway, and then we'd go to the turf afterwards, mostly.
Where was that?
Because that was the rugby. Well, it's Zimmerino's was the pizza place, but it burnt. They left their ovens on one night and burnt the whole thing down. So I'm not sure what's there now because I don't live there anymore. But
I think maybe Monty Dolak has a store there now. It's right across from the Stockmans. It was right across.
Yeah. Yep, on the other side of the alley that goes down to the Garris.
Yeah, and remember Roanne got arrested for peeing in the alley for indecent exposure?
Peeing in the alley. Yep.
Yeah.
Peeing in public.
Yeah.
Because we'd meet there and you could go there any night of the week and there'd be rugby players in the turf. It was a beautiful old bar, big old wood backing and big mirror and yeah. And so it was sort of the rugby kind of hangout. McClanahan had an apartment over it, remember? He had his apartment up there. And so we'd go there or else the 10th Street Tavern.
I remember that.
Well, I think that was more in the winter time. We'd go there we'd have a get together or something during the winter in a gym and play basketball or do something. And then of course we'd do it on Sunday. Of course we could go to the 10th Street Tavern because they had 10-cent beers on Sunday nights. So we always had to have the plan.
Right.
As for travel, we mostly left on Friday nights, I think, mostly because there wasn't anything. I guess you could make it to Moscow if you left Saturday morning, but most of the time we went the night before because that was a huge thing. Is everybody assumed that you were putting people up for the night if you were if anybody rugby is traveling, and
or we slept on the field. We slept on the field.
Yeah,
we just go take our sleeping bags and sleep on the field. That was way before everybody had underground sprinklers. So we never got sprinkled in the mornings. Yeah.
And do you remember are there any matches that you remember maybe early, maybe later in your career where you just felt like it finally sort of clicked for you and you played your best that you could, and maybe your teammates were too, like you maybe got an unexpected victory or a hard loss? I'm not that it's different for everybody, but does any of that ring a bell for either one of you where there was kind of that light of like, hey, we're getting this now? Barb? No.
I think when we did start doing better at tackling, it paid off a lot. So that felt like kind of a breakthrough.
Yeah.
But that took a lot of years.
Yeah, and my favorite, probably not my favorite, but one of the memories that sticks out in my mind is when I played with one of the teams over here. the Breakers. And we went to California, and Californians, their women's rugby teams aren't as welcoming, or weren't as welcoming. When you got into playoffs and stuff like that, it became way more serious about not socializing and other stuff. Anyway, we ended up playing the Surfers down in Southern California in the playoffs, like Pacific Northwest versus Southern Cal or something. So of course we're down there to play these gals, and we played our heads off, and I don't know where it came from, but it seemed like nobody dropped balls, nobody missed tackles, it caught people that were running by them. I mean, I don't know where it came from, but we lost, and we lost by like less than a penalty kick, so less than 3 points. And so then they're doing the awards or something when all the other teams are sitting around, and they have the Surfers, because they'd won the whole thing, and they have the Surfers, and one of them speaks and says, yes, and then we win. And I said, and I'm sitting over there having a beer thinking, you C word. And I said, barely. And I thought they were going to kill me. And I thought, as hard as this team had played and just played out of our butts, and they can't even congratulate us on a good match or anything. And I thought, you women have no class. And so I really made myself a nuisance. They weren't happy with me. But anyway, I remember that because that's probably not a good memory, but because it's unusual for that kind of behavior, I think, in rugby, but not unusual for Californians.
Out, right? When somebody is different than the norm like that, sometimes you don't remember every billet that you had because it was a normal thing. You don't remember every great drink up you had and singing songs and stuff because that was a more normal thing. Was that something that the women did at that time, the Betterside? I know, Barbie, you were saying that now they have their own songs and cheers and chants and stuff. Was that something that the Betterside did early on? Were they singers?
Yeah, we sang.
Remember any of those songs or what they were about?
Well,
what's the one? It's like the 12 Days of Christmas or whatever.
The 10 Wise Women.
Yeah, actually, we adapted some of the men's songs.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's the one that leaps to my mind because everyone always remembers it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, we just sang the traditional songs. We learned those. But yeah, we did adapt a couple, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, that one, yeah.
So I
don't know why they call it the penis song because we never used the word penis in it. But hey.
I know you said that the Maggots were helpful and supportive. Were there times when the Betterside was there a time period when the Betterside was going to be a university club, or that it was always both, or how did that come about? You know what I'm saying? Like the difference between, I know how the university became the Maggots because those guys aged out and became, wanted to keep playing. Was there that same kind of feel with the women's team that people that stopped being university students and kept playing? I don't know that part of your history.
I think yes, a handful. I mean, there were never enough extra people to think about another team like the Maggots were.
Right.
And I think
we didn't have a surplus.
The university sort of designation or sponsorship at some point. It just lapsed or something. It wasn't benefiting anybody, and so it didn't matter if you were still going to school or not. But yeah, I mean, it was a struggle to always have enough people, especially to travel. And then we were broke all the time. It was like, who even had a car? Who had a car that could make it? Who had money for gas? Oh, the same stuff with the guys. But
every rugby club, I think, it has that same set of challenges.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever talk of having a town team. If it was way after our time, I think.
Yeah, we just grabbed whoever we could. It didn't matter where they're
Yeah,
towny or schooly or any of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And would you say that the majority of people were either students or former students, or was there another sort of input like of? I know the Maggots tended to have people who sort of
Oh, I think
finished playing other
almost all were
sports.
students.
Well, the first president, Mary, hmm, I can't think of her last name. She was not a student. And then
Okay.
there were, let's see, I don't know how many were non-students. I think most of the gals were students, but we didn't want to exclude any townies, so there wasn't any real push to be exclusively the U or recognized by the UW, but they probably didn't want to recognize us anyway. So not a
I don't know, Annie, if we may have lost Barb there. I see that she's frozen in my screen. Let me just ask Go for Hugh if they know if she's gonna
oop,
be
now
able
she's
to come
gone.
back. Oh, now she's gone. So I like to sort of wrap these things up. I really enjoy doing this. I like to wrap it up by having uh, both of you tell me something or somebody that you want to say hi to that you haven't talked to in a long time that might be watching this at some point in the future once it gets put up on the website, and maybe just pass along a message. Barb
Oh,
or Annie, if you
Well,
got one.
Barb,
Oh,
oops, we lost her again.
we lost her again, but
Well,
let's
let's
try it with you,
see.
Annie.
Well, I'd like to see Kathy Hogan back again. She lives up in Eureka someplace up there.
Okay.
Like to see her around again. She hasn't been around, and I don't know if Roanne would be around anymore, but it'd be fun to see her too. And it's
yeah,
springy. It's fun to see springy.
Who's Springy?
yeah, me
Barb,
too.
Oh,
Me.
okay.
Barb Beck.
Oh, you're
My
Springy.
my
Okay.
maiden name was
Ah, I gotcha.
Springer.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
How about you, Barb? Anybody that you haven't seen in a while you would send a message to that might watch this, and you can say hi to them?
Oh, maybe Pat Jatko,
Patty J.
Patty. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to tell me about? Because I've really enjoyed this. It's really fun. This is something that I don't know hardly anything about, only because of knowing Sherry and Shelley for a long time. I, had heard bits and pieces
That
of this,
makes sense.
but they had such of a little different idea of it than the two of you because they came later, right? So they only knew about the beginnings of it based on hearing stories, right? Or hearing stories from the people who were still there. It's really different for the two of you. You were there when this happened. And to me, that's always really interesting, especially something that's now, what, 51 years old, right? The club.
Well, geez. I'm just probably we're thankful that there wasn't cell phone footage of a lot of the nonsense that we got into. If that's a good thing.
I agree there. And I think we've lost
Yeah.
Barb again. So I think we'll just wrap it up and we'll figure out a way to wrap it up. Oh, maybe did we see her there? Barb, any final thoughts?
I put something in the chat because we were cutting in and out so badly.
Okay.
Would want to let the current Bettersiders know if they need anything in the way of support from us old girls, they should let us know. I don't know what that would be, but
It's a great message.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and hope to do this again at some point, and hopefully in person next time at the 50th Maggot Fest. Hope to see you both there.
That'd be pretty fun.
And
Yeah.
I'll come by with the microphone, and we'll get a few more of the. Now you can
Okay.
think about some of the stories that you didn't remember yet, and percolate on those, and then we'll get the good stuff next time on the down and dirty stories. Okay.
Might have to be not publicly released until 10 years after my death.
Right. Well, we can have
Yeah.
a posthumous sort of release date
There you
on some
go.
of the
That's
stuff.
right.
All right.
Yep. Yep.
Hey,
Yeah.
thank you very, very
Thank
much,
you,
both of
Matthew.
you.
Annie, great to see you. I hope I do
Good
see
to
you in
see you
person.
too, Springy.
Yeah.
You take care of those ears now.
Okay. All right.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Night.